when we don't know ourselves, we make decisions that sometimes work against us. Hello, Mirembe Mwesi, Mirembe Handi. Welcome to Nabwiri Chesa TV, where humility plus simplicity equals authenticity. My name is Mildred Chesser. I am a life, marriage, and relationship coach by experience and a broadcast journalist by profession. On today's topic, we are talking about, are you a detailed person or are you a spontaneous person? We are still continuing on the topic of who are you? And on this topic, we're still understanding what we need, what you need as a person to know yourself better, so that when you're making decisions, when you're doing your day in, day out activities, you really understand who you are, so that you don't go through life empty or void. Therefore, if you understand that you're a detailed, comprehensive person or a spontaneous, impromptu person, then you will get to understand why you do what you do or how you make decisions in life. So that when you're dealing with people, when you're undergoing activities or situations, then you will be in a better position to understand yourself, so that you avoid too much stress and your mental space will be at a good place when you understand yourself. A detailed, comprehensive person is a person who like looks into all the pros and cons and is systemic in everything they do, even in decision making. Sometimes they can appear to be indecisive because they have to really think everything through before they come up with a solution. And sometimes that can be tedious, but eventually, when they do, they come up with very good decisions. A spontaneous and impromptu person is a person who goes with their guts or goes with their intuition and or what they see, and they don't have to really sit down and make decisions um, according to what they will think or according to what they have been told. They will just go for it immediately. And sometimes that can be seen to be like, there are people who can make very bad decisions sometimes because they didn't really delve into something before they made that decision. And sometimes it can be seen as a good thing because then they are able to tap into whatever needs to tap in immediately, that doesn't need you to really sit back and think too much. So the two sides, they have their pros and cons, but for you as a person, you really need to understand who are you between these two. And once you understand who you are between these two, then you will not have to go through the mental torture of trying to feel bad about what you've done or feel like you're not good enough when things need to be done. Such that if you're a detailed person, you will insist on details without feeling a type of way. Because when there are details, that is when you feel at peace. You will not be forced into making impromptu decisions because deep down you know once you make an impromptu decision, later on it will torture you. Therefore, If you're a detailed person, you need to understand it, accept it, and just embrace it and say, I am a detailed person. Because sometimes when you do not know who we are, when we go somewhere and we are boxed into being who we are not, we just find ourselves doing things the way others want it to be done. If you go somewhere and somebody wants you to make a decision immediately and you're a detailed, comprehensive person, you will tell them, okay, give me time. And you will be confident enough to be able to express yourself because you know that is who you are. And if you're an impromptu person and somebody tells you, okay, take your time before you tell me what you need, you will just tell them, no, I know what I want, and this is what I want, and you go for it. And you see the two sides. If you are an impromptu person and you take your time, it will torture you because you will be like, I should have just said this or that, because now you'll start getting confused and everything. And if you're a detailed person, if you do impromptu decisions, you will now feel like, oh my God, I wish I had taken my time. So it is very important to understand these two things so that every time you're somewhere and you need to make decisions, ask yourself, am I a detailed person or am I an impromptu person? And every time you're in situations, understand yourself better so that nobody will push you around to do this or to do that. You know yourself and you are in a better position to make decisions that work for you, not decisions that work for everybody else, because that's where we go wrong. When we don't know ourselves, we make decisions that sometimes work against us and we feel bad later. But the only problem is we don't really understand who we are. If you're a detailed person, do not feel bad about it. If you are somebody who, when you arrange your stuff, you want them detailed. When you hear explanations from somebody, you want them to be detailed, like you expect them to give you details. You're not somebody who will just want short stories and all that. You want somebody to be detailed. When you're arranging places or you're doing your stuff, arranging your files, doing what, you want a detailed way of doing things, a comprehensive way of doing things. When you're making decisions from a place of detail. And when you're an impromptu person, you don't really like when everything is like systematic and everything. You just want everything to go like, let's do this, let's go here, after this we'll decide this, after this we'll decide this. So you're somebody who goes from one point to another, making decisions as you reach there, as you go there. Therefore, it is very important for you to understand these things. And also from the trauma side of it, also find out, are you a detailed person because of what you went through? And you, when you are impromptu, you were forced to be detailed, or sometimes maybe you made decisions out of the blues, and your decisions were always put down, or your decisions were always pushed aside, and so you started doubting yourself about your impromptuness, and you started feeling like, okay, maybe I should start being somebody who takes time to make decisions. But you see, the problem with that, it makes you become a detailed person without wanting to, and sometimes you regret because you're like, I should have just said this, I should have just done this immediately. So you have to also understand, are you a detailed person because of your trauma, that every time you were like making impromptu decisions, somebody would push them away and take you and tell you, take your time. And what that does is it makes you start doubting yourself every time you do something. Or is it that every time you made impromptu decisions on some things, they were not received altogether, and that discouraged you, and you started feeling like maybe I should start um, being comprehensive about what I do? Therefore, you have to also understand where your impromptuness or your detailed calmness comes from. And maybe you are an impromptu person, no, and maybe you're a detailed person, and then everybody used to say, oh my god, you're too much, you're too detailed, you take too much time, you delay us. Everybody or some people used to complain so much about your detailed way of doing things, and then you started just becoming impromptu, and you started becoming spontaneous, just to please them or to make them see that you can do this, you can be spontaneous and all that. And you are never comfortable about being spontaneous, because deep inside you know you're a detailed person, and you wouldn't want anybody to push you into being spontaneous. So it is up to you to identify which is yours, or what, or where you belong in terms of being detailed or being impromptu. Is it from a place of trauma, or is it from a place of nature? And that is very important, because once we do not understand that, it is what makes us suffer the emptiness and the void, because we keep doing things according to everybody else's point of view, instead of doing things from our own point of view, and understanding that when I do this thing this way, I don't enjoy. When I do it this way, I enjoy. So that is what will identify and will show you who you are as a person. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, keep it simple. Remember to like, share, comment, and hit that notification button, so that every time we upload a video, we will notify you. Thank you. Kwaheri.